Can you kind of talk about some of the trends you're seeing as far as what problems clients are looking to get solved today?
Ooh, yeah, that's a loaded question, Hajar.
Yeah, I know, right?
Um, I mean, there's a lot. I think so. I primarily interface with both prospective customers and active clients of ours. Usually, I tend to have conversations with either like digital experience or digital experience slash customer experience type roles and functions. To some degree, revenue operations. And then there's up and down the marketing organization from leadership all the way to day-to-day practitioners. I touch a little bit with the IT org, working with engineers, solution architects, those folks, but generally sort of my background and most of the conversations I'm having are geared around folks thinking about revenue operations, customer experience, and day-to-day marketing. And there's lots of different initiatives and topics that occupy their minds. But I'd say one big trend that I sort of enters itself into almost every conversation I have is around data, what to do with it, how can we draw
Yep.
insights from it, how can we improve our reporting so that we can ultimately improve the outcomes, and outcomes generally being better customer experiences or more profitable revenue for the business.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And, knowing this world of marketing requires data to do a great job at identifying your customer base. You have to know what to do with the data. Gone are the days where you could plaster a billboard and imagine that's going to drive the traffic towards your product. The same way commercials used to have a massive impact, newspaper advertisements, magazine advertisements. Now we rely on data to find the customers to make sure we could solve that problem for them. So in
And
thinking
I
about,
think just
yeah,
just to add to that, to find the right customers, I
the
think
right
that's what
customers,
data is helping
absolutely.
businesses do as well. You know, I've gone through a few cycles and conversations with various clients over the years, and one of the first questions that our team usually asks our clients, either through a pre-engagement mode or early days of actual in engagement and onboarding, we always ask, who is your ideal customer profile? Do you have a well-defined ICP? And sometimes clients think they have or think they know what their ICP is, only to once we start connecting systems and start to actually dig into the data, it's like, well, did you actually know that it's kind of like this is your ICP? So I think
Yeah.
data can help you identify not just who you should target with what messaging, when is the right time, are there intent signals? Like there's a lot of stuff going on in the world of data around customer acquisition, but I think one of the biggest things that sometimes gets overlooked is using data to really identify who are your best customers and how can we find
Right.
more of them that look like that.
And you know what, Jeff, you mentioned a lot of great things, and I did want to make it a point to define all acronyms we use on this platform because when I came into marketing, so many acronyms got thrown at me, and I'm like, I don't know what this is. At the end of the day, the most important one is CYA. But ICP, can you give our viewers a quick breakdown of what that is?
Yeah, that's one of the easier ones in my
Yeah.
mind. It's ideal customer profile. And that could be made up of firmographic data, behavioral data, simple demographics. It means, what does our ideal customer look like? And common metrics are, revenue size, geography that they operate within, employee count, industries they serve, that sort of thing. But really, you can get much more granular when you start to look at data.
Great way to break that down. And in thinking about your approach with clients, knowing that you're kind of identifying what opportunities there may lie, where it can jump in and be assistance in terms of helping building business, trying to hit those goals that they're looking for. Once data is presented as something that is a challenge at a company, Kristen, can you give us some
Well,
detail as to how you take that first approach to understand what the situation is? And Jeff, chime in when you
Yeah.
need to as
yeah.
well.
Well, actually, Kristen, do you mind? Because you're the
Yeah,
smart
no,
one,
no.
at
Yeah,
least
no.
between the two
I
of
don't know
us.
about that, but
So
yeah,
if
finish your what I
I
know
just
you're
want to take
yeah.
the first stab to tee you up. I
Okay,
Yeah,
was
you're
awesome.
good.
actually Hajar, I was chatting with a prospect the other day, and this is a common theme that I have with most conversations that I have with marketers. But this guy summed it up so perfectly. He said, "Jeff, we're drowning in data, but we're starving for insights."
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
put a nice little bow on the problem, which I think embodies a lot of what today's marketers are dealing with, which is we have lots of data, we have lots of reporting, but we're having difficulty drawing insights from that and then taking action on it with the ultimate end goal of improving our performance. So I think Kristen is the one with more of the answers, but that is definitely a common theme that I'm hearing across across the industry.
Yeah, Jeff and I are on prospect calls a lot, and as you mentioned, Jeff, it's a lot of our clients who've onboarded a variety of tools to help them solve problems that they're having. So to gain awareness within their ICP, to understand attribution, to report out on performance is just some examples of that. And so there might be a variety of platforms that are helping support those three initiatives that we just mentioned, and there are a ton more. And so, with each one of those platforms, you have to think there are a set of data points associated with each platform. And when we think about, what's available in that landscape, that's where you can go into data overload, and you might be looking at the wrong data. You might just be regurgitating data points, which is a really big issue as we see it. And what I know we try to do, Hajar, you specifically in the strategy seat alongside the analytics team, of really not just spewing data points, but understanding what the business goal is and what the targets are for the client. And that's what's most important, is you need to understand that first. You need to understand overarchingly, for this company to be successful, what are the key KPIs? And there are KPIs for every platform, but for the business at a macro level, there's going to be macro KPIs and micro KPIs. And so a macro KPI could be revenue for a company. It could be the amount of opportunities, the closed won ratio for a company. That's going to be a macro level that allows them to operate. Now, micro level could be more on working through the initiative. So if we're talking about driving awareness, that's going to help then look to engagement, talk to conversion, and then to the sales initiative. They're going to be micro KPIs beneath that. So there's going to be impression count. There's going to be the lead to MQL ratio to SQL ratio. There's going to be the return on investment that we're seeing from the attribution of these different campaigns. So all of those are micro data points. But, to the point that we're discussing right now, people can become overwhelmed by data points. And we also have specialists in the field where they may feel very familiar with certain data points, but not as familiar with other ones. So the goal that I think that we have in solutioning for our clients is being able to tell the story that can bubble up the right conversations in those micro data points, and then say, this is how it's impacting your macro data points. And so, to what you guys both mentioned, it's really the storytelling, but the right storytelling, not just trying to make up a story that's going to help where, but the story that's really going to help our client's business based on their targets and their macro goals.
Yeah, that's great. I definitely want to take that opportunity to segue into reporting a little bit deeper. But before we do that, you brought up two acronyms. I did it to Jeff. Now I've got to ask you MQL, SQL.
Yep.
Can you break that down for us?
Yeah, so marketing qualified lead and sales qualified lead. So, just kind of giving a little basis of that, when we work with clients who are putting a sales process together, a sale target and nurture strategy to have these, leads, people who are contacting them for a solution or a product, and they need to nurture them. So there's different ways that you can qualify these leads. And a lot of what we'll support clients with is helping identify that funnel.
Yeah.
So as they become known to you as a lead, how you can get them to MQL which is marketing qualified lead, which means that they're a little bit more qualified than just a lead where you're just knowing them. Marketing qualified could be that they've done certain touch points on their site. They could have read a white paper. They could have had different touches on the site in terms of industry case studies that they read. Those are all just examples. So that could lead them to MQL. And then the next step from that would be SQL, so sales qualified lead. That's when the sales team could look at, is this a lead or an account that really matches what we're trying to hit as a company in terms of our ICP, as Jeff just mentioned. So if they become sales qualified, that can help nurture, to the further end of closing that opportunity or closing that sale for the business. So, kind of just bubbling it back, at the acronym level, these are discussions like we just had of saying, if we had clients or team members of our clients that aren't really familiar with that funnel process in sales, they may not come to the right insights or the right recommendation. So it's really like you just mentioned, Hajar, and I love that you're having us go through the acronyms because it should be accessible to everyone. It shouldn't just be
absolutely.
a marketing discussion. We should, it's really how can we help people better understand to get to a better solution.